Irishman.
Quite the selection we have going on here. All right. So we got some Scotch people going. All right. Well, Amy, how about I roll into a little bit of Irish whiskey talk before we get into, everybody, we can have at each other. So what I think to say is, the expression, the luck of the Irish has always had a deeply ironic ring to it. Let's face it. Luck is to the Irish what winning is to the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. Famine, oppression, civil war. The Irish put the less in blessed and the dip in serendipity. Take the single greatest commodity Ireland ever gifted the world. Right? I'm talking about Irish whiskey. That's what we're talking about here, which, by the way, is followed by Guinness, Dirty Limericks, and the Pogues. Okay, in that order, and maybe Bono. So to understand how Irish whiskey is entwined with tragedy, just ask the average American to name a few brands, and chances are you're going to get a blank stare, or they're just going to yell "J-Mo" at the top of their lungs, and then they'll call for a round of shots. So by the way, I love Jameson, and it's nothing less than excellent, and it really has so much to do with why this category was able to survive. But it's just kind of unfair that the country that invented whiskey, although the Scots might debate that, but the phrase "Uscabaith" from the Gaelic means water of life. So there's a big argument to be made that the Irish did invent whiskey. So of the 20 best-selling whiskey brands in the United States, one of them is Irish whiskey. Put that in perspective, Canada boasts 5 entries on the list. So it's like the Ned Flanders of countries is beating the Barney Gumble of countries in the booze game. I went to a Catholic school back in Philadelphia where I grew up, and as Father O'Shaughnessy down at Resurrection of Our Lord used to say, if it was raining soup, the Irish would go out with forks. Okay? Just saying that. By the way, if Father O'Shaughnessy invites you over for soup, bring a knife. But that's so it wasn't always this way, of course. In the mid-1800s, Ireland had thousands of distilleries, and they controlled around 70% of the world whiskey market. Then came the 1900s, and the 1900s really had it in for the Irish. Between Prohibition in the U.S., which ruined a lot of things, and then there was a trade war with England, Irish whiskey was pretty much wiped off the face of the planet. No joke. At one point, they were down to about 3 or 4 commercially available Irish whiskeys, all being made at one single distillery. By the 170s, was like 1% of the output was Irish in the world's whiskey supply. But if there's one thing the Irish know how to do, it's stage a comeback. So in the 1980s, a guy named John Tealing, and I've got some Tealing. Yeah, there's a Tealing. He opened the Cooley Distillery in County Louth. So there was another distillery now suddenly in Ireland. And slowly and gradually, the tide began to turn green again. And as I said, Jameson played a big role in that. Pernod Ricard, big company, bought Jameson and really put a lot of marketing muscle behind it. And it helped. I should also mention that John's kids, Stephen and Jack, opened the Tealing Distillery in Dublin in 2015. And it's the first distillery in Dublin, new distillery in Dublin, in 125 years. It was. So over the past 15 years or so, exports of Irish whiskey are up 300%. You've got excellent new brands like Sexton, Slane, Egan's, Napogue Castle, Dead Rabbit, and then you got contemporary expressions from the venerable producers like Tullamore-Dew, Redbreast, Bushmills. Look, it's not enough to bring Ireland back up to Scotland's level or the U.S.'s prodigious output of whiskey, but I don't think Ireland gives a shit. I mean, there's distilleries coming up. I think they're up to about 50 or 60 now in Ireland, which is pretty incredible. As they say, the road may not rise up to meet the Irish, but the Irish stay on the road all the same. I mean, how the hell else are they going to get to the pubs, right? So there's a little background for you, but there is a lot of great Irish whiskey out there now, which was not the case. And of course, we all know about Scotch. So, Amy, did I miss anything there? Did I get anything wrong?
I think you nailed it. I think I'd give you an A+ on that abbreviated history of Irish whiskey. Congrats.
Okay. I
So
thank you.
you
Oh,
can you
please.
deserve a drink for that. So
Yeah. All right. There we go. On the rocks too.
oh, see, I'm going neat tonight.
Sláinte, everybody.
Lunch.
Sláinte.
Yeah.
What are we doing? All right. Let's do this. There we go. Hal. And we got Michael and Joe and what? Chris and Jennifer and Jade. Hi. Okay. So what do you got, Amy? I want to hear the counter line here.
Oh, well, I think, all right. So I am on Team Scotch for the sake of tonight's debate because of my evolution when it comes to spirits. Like when I started drinking whiskey, I was drinking rye and bourbon in whiskey gingers. You know, I was like, okay, this is American. This is what's in our backyard. Totally get it. How can I be cooler? So it's like, all right, so there's Canadian, that's really close to home. But, you know, everyone knows Scotch whiskey. So I just kind of was intrigued by this whole peatiness, smokiness, and I was like, what the hell is this about? So I went kind of past Ireland. You know, I've had Bushmills, I've had Jameson. I'm like, everybody else is drinking this. What can I drink that's just a little different? But you know, there are so many Scotch drinkers out there that my logic probably not exactly accurate. But you know, to be a Scotch whiskey drinker, to me, it was just like, this is like, you're coming into your peakness of whiskey drinking. So I just ventured really deep into Scotch whiskey. I traveled to Scotland twice. I visited a bunch of distilleries. And for that reason, it just sits so close to my heart. You know, putting the place to the bottle to the taste really influence, you know, why I'm such a big Scotch drinker and why I decided to take that route and to educate myself more on Scotch whiskey than, let's say, Irish whiskey. However, as you know, being at Flaviar and being, you know, having access to so many spirits and having even just Jameson Black Barrel, which I definitely claimed as my free bottle this past quarter, and it's almost gone. I was just like, holy shit, you know, there's really great, you know, cask finishes here. We have bourbon and sherry cask finishes in this Irish whiskey, which is speaking my language. And obviously there are a lot of other Irish whiskeys that do similar things, but it's definitely opened my eyes. And I know I should be really debating and sticking to Team Scotch, but you know, I could see maybe why people.
Well, you mentioned an interesting point there is that you went to Scotland. And I would say, you know, I've been fortunate enough to travel all over the world and go to distilleries, you know, from the Caribbean and Mexico. Scotland, to me, is the single most charming place to go for spirits tourism in terms of what they offer and the variety of the different regions. And you know, I've always said they must have a minister of charm there that just goes around and says, we need more black-faced sheep up here. We need a couple of yaks up here. But you can go to Speyside where there are some of the, you know, the most iconic Speyside whiskeys there. And there's so many of them there that you could, you know, in a week, you couldn't hit all the distilleries. Right. Of course, if you want to go west and you go over, you know, you mentioned the peatiness. If you want to go to Islay, which is an island off the west coast of Scotland, just off of a place called Oban, we probably know Oban Scotch. I mean, Islay is magical. It's incredible. You feel like you've gone back in time 200 years, you know, but Ireland will be there. That's coming. And because Ireland is an equally beautiful place, they just didn't have distilleries all over, but they're coming. They're being built now. I mean, I was the very last trip that I took, which is crazy to me. I have not been on a plane in over a year, first time in my adult life, because I travel a lot for the job. Last trip I took was to Ireland. Last year, I got back right before they shut everything down. And I went up to Belfast, and they're building 3 distilleries in Belfast area, in Belfast, the city itself. And out in the countryside, if you go west in Ireland, they're building several. So I think that part's coming, but certainly anyone who's been to Scotland, anybody, show of hands here. Jennifer has been. Hal, who's with you, Hal? Let's unmute. I'll unmute you. I can do it.
That's
Wait.
great. Yeah.
Hold on. Hey, Hal, how are you?
Good. This is my daughter, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Do you have ID? I want to make sure. No, I'm just checking. You tell me I got to card everybody that comes in. So, Hal, you've been to Scotland. Lisa, have you been to Scotland?
Yeah, we took the same trip.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
We did Edinburgh. We started in Ireland, spent 5, 6, 7 days in Ireland, and then ended up over in Edinburgh, and then parted ways. And she went to London, and we went to the Cotswolds for a week.
Did you get any distillery stops in along the way?
We did in Ireland, but not in Scotland. That's our next trip.
Okay. Yeah.
Where'd you go in Ireland?
We started in Dublin, and then we took the loop around the west coast. Stayed at Ashford Castle for a night. That was a treat for my wife. And we went up to Belfast, and we went up to what's all the way up north, the Giant's Causeway.
Wow. So note to self, we have to hang out with Hal and Lisa and the family more often.
My wife's a travel agent.
They're living their best life, clearly. Yeah. All right. Well, who else has been Chris?
Jennifer.
Oh, who we got? I'll go Chris first. Hey, Chris. Do it again. Ready? Hey.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, man. So where have you been? Scotland?
Yeah, my dad was born in Arbroath, which is a small town just north of Dundee and St. Andrews.
Okay.
So when I graduated high school, my high school graduation present when I was 18, which it felt weird to go drinking, was to go spend the summer in Scotland.
Doesn't feel weird to me. I grew up Irish Catholic in Philly. What took you only 18? What took you so long? Yeah. That was my 8th grade graduation present. They sent me over. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Awesome, Chris. Good to hear. Before we get into everybody's travel plans, I do want to, Amy, I think we should do this is let's get a show of hands. So who prefers Scotch over Irish whiskey? Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
See, all right.
Let's see. I think let's hear from Jeffrey down here. Jeffrey,
I saw my hand up.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. So you're a Scotch guy.
Earlier, I was traveling to Scotland quite a bit at a point in my career on business, and kind of indoctrinated me into Scotch. That's kind of been my bias ever since.
Okay. But you're a so you prefer peaty scotches? Do you prefer more the Speyside style? I can just mute him. I can just mute Jeffrey. Look, he's gone now. He can say nothing else. That's right.
I think we had Jennifer speaking up. You said, Jennifer, did you?
Edinburgh, St. Andrews, Oban. I went to distillery in Oban.
And you're
an E. Scotch does not have an E, and that begs the question. Really, both fermented with barley. Scotch is often malted. Irish tends to be smoother, easier to drink, and I don't mean that as a slight to Scotch, certainly, but if we're talking about, it could be off-putting. So I've been telling people the past couple of years, the more I've started to embrace Irish whiskey, is if you're new to it, you're new to whiskey, that's where I'm starting. I'm starting at Irish whiskey because, again, I love whiskey made in America. I love whiskey made in Scotch, and they style-wise, there's much more to offer out of the gate. So, and I think that that's happened to people where they try whiskey and they go, I'm never having this again, right? And they, so if you're going to start somewhere, I would say Irish whiskey. Go ahead, Amy. Try to come back at me. Bring it.
Oh, I was just looking. I saw that someone has a comment and they wanted to jump in. So can I have?
Yes. Who is it?
Ron Czar. If you please.
Oh, Ron.
Please come forward.
There he is.
So we actually have both Scotch and.
Wait, who are you? We got to know who we're talking to here. Lee and Ron. And who put all that booze behind you?
Yeah,
Where did that? I don't know if you're aware, but
That's got quite a bar.
You've got the greatest home bar I've ever seen behind you. Yeah.
The home bar. Yeah, that's only the Scotch part. So
I thought I had a problem.
COVID fixes things a lot. Just saying. But we have done Scotch and Irish both. And I will say the one thing with Irish, I like them both a lot, but Jameson specifically, Jameson's stout casks have, they've changed significantly between the three of them, especially since they got their own brewery. Yeah, they bought their own brewery. They are all really, really good. Scotch to me right now is a little bit more premier. It just elevates itself differently, but Irish whiskey is very, very good right now. I believe both of them are, but Irish whiskey is really, really good right now. And, you know, God love them for whatever they're doing through this whole COVID thing, because they're doing a good job.
I think we're doing a good job by drinking all of their whiskey and making
That's
sure
right.
that
Supporting them. And
No,
again, I can't stress to you enough. Irish whiskey as a category was this close to disappearing. I mean, gone. There was one distillery, the Middleton Distillery, and they were making Redbreast, Powers, Jameson, and Bushmills, I think, there. And that was basically the only commercially available whiskey you could get in Ireland. I mean, whiskey as a general category was in big, big trouble in the 80s. You know, vodka, everybody, Absolute Vodka. If you talk about some of the most consequential spirits of all time, Absolute Vodka is definitely one of them in terms of what it did to drinking overall, because Absolute came along, and I don't know if anybody's, you all look young and spry, so you know, you probably don't remember this, but Absolute came along and they had that ad campaign, and it was like this idea of premium, you know, premium vodka. What is this? And everybody wanted it. And Cosmopolitans came in, and suddenly nobody wanted brown spirits anymore. And I mean, nobody in the States, which, you know, was probably, you know, arguably the biggest market back then. And it almost destroyed whiskey to a large degree. And then thanks to people like Dale DeGroff, Tony Abu-Ghanem, some of these bartenders that began to bring back all of the old cocktail recipes, started to resurrect these things. And it mainly in the States was happening in New York City. Dale was at the Rainbow Room. And then they started digging up all these recipes, all these classic cocktails, and they weren't made with vodka. Nobody drank vodka back in the early part of the 20th century. It was all whiskey. And then that was it. That's what led to the resurgence of this. And then, as I said, Jameson, I hate to say this, one of the really unfortunate things, but it was a driver of the category, was the popularity of the Irish car bomb. Okay. We all know that drink, you know, we all know. One. So, boy, it certainly helped drive sales of Jameson, but it's one of the craziest drinks, I think, to me, that's ever been invented. It was invented by a guy named Charles Cronin Oates, I believe his name is, in Connecticut in the 70s. So just imagine, like, the genesis of this drink. He's like, let me co-opt the three most popular spirits from Ireland. We're going to take Jameson, Bailey's, and Guinness, or three most popular adult beverages. Jameson, Bailey's, and Guinness. We're going to take those things, and then we're going to name it after an act of terrorism that is caused, like, and that's what they did. And I'm like, but I didn't know back in the day. I was just like, hey, I love a good Irish car bomb, and put it in, and it really drove sales. It really drove sales of Jameson. That said, nobody should be drinking Irish car bombs. Well, you shouldn't be drinking them if you're over the. Lisa can have them. That's about it. Lisa can have them. Maybe Jade over here can have them. I don't know. You know, the rest of us, sorry, we've passed. We can't have Irish car bombs. We're too old. But yeah, so I just, you know, to me, it's really encouraging to see Irish whiskey arrive at the place it's at right now. As Lee was saying, they've got so many great ones coming, but yeah, they're not.
Well, again, we've determined that we have 30 Irish whiskeys.
Wow.
Along with the Scotch wall. They're in a different area, but no, they are really a beautiful.
Where do you live? Can I come over? That's what I want to know.
Montana.
Yeah.
Montana.
There's 130 different Scotch distilleries behind us on the wall.
You have
Where in Montana?
Lincoln.
Okay, I've been to Montana, and I was thinking about that. Like, where we'll go around. We'll start with you guys. What's your favorite whiskey bar? And everybody should get a pen out and make a list. What's the best whiskey bar you know? Ron, Lee.
Unfortunately, our house.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah. But
That's
if there's something
down.
better than that there's nothing in Montana that has more whiskey. There's no place in Montana, even in like Bozeman or Missoula, that has more whiskey than you guys. So we'll put Ron and Lee's house down. All right, let me go around here. We'll see.
Hey, Dan, I think Lorenzo Sanchez had a question.
Oh, Lorenzo, let me unmute you there. All right. Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I was actually just, you were talking about starting off with Irish whiskey first and kind of getting into that a little bit, into the other items. I'm a big Islay fan, right? I love Ardbegs and the peated whiskey, but I started off with more of the Highland Scotch and felt that took me into Irish as more of an appreciation for Irish whiskey. I love Irish whiskey now, but prior to that, I started off with Scotch. So it's kind of backwards for me on how I got that started.
I totally agree with you, Lorenzo, because similar to you, like I started more Scotch than trying Irish. For me, I went to Speyside because I was like, what's something that can bridge the gap between American whiskey and Scotch whiskey? And
But don't you think that seems a little crazy to me, Amy? Like, and Lorenzo, it seems a little crazy to me. Like, how do you start at Ardbeg or like Bricklottie or Lefroy, or Lagavulin? Like, how do you start there?
I think I started Highland first and then rolled into the Ardbegs right after. And kind of built an appreciation for that because I like cigars too. So that kind of helped take some of that smoke. You get a lot of the sweeter flavors when you smoke a cigar in with an Islay, right? So I think that just kind of rolled into that, then Irish. But no, I don't think I'd ever start with an Irish.
Nope.
I'm right there.
Lorenzo, where do you live?
I'm in Arizona, Phoenix.
Okay, what's the best whiskey bar in Phoenix?
Oh, probably some in Scottsdale, I would say. Again, I frequent more of the cigar bars, so Magnum has got a great cigar and whiskey setup.
I've got a great whiskey bar for you.
Wait, who's all right? Hold on, let me get Lorenzo.
Andy, sorry, I had to jump in a little bit late. I was working.
Wait, who are we talking to? I can't even see. I'm looking around. Who's talking?
Andy Stewart.
Oh, Andy. All right. Hey, Andy, how are you?
I am doing fine. How are you?
Good. Where are you coming to us from, Andy?
I'm coming from Maine, and there's a couple of decent whiskey bars. The best is probably Bullfini's at the corner of Middle and Exchange in Portland.
Bullfini's.
I'll be going there.
It's an Irish bar, but they've got a very respectable whiskey collection of Irish, Scotch, American.
Yeah.
And
Bullfini's is a fantastic name for a bar, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a very well-established bar. It's one of those Irish bars you just walk in and feel at home.
Do they have like a quota of how many fights you're allowed to get in Bullfini's or that you have to get in? Like, is there a certain number of fights you have to get in at Bullfini's? Like, they're like, hey, Andy's been coming in for a year and has not thrown down yet. Yeah.
I have not gotten in any fights there, but I was asked to quiet down once.
Ooh.
Close. That's close.
Okay. Okay, who else we got here?
I see some New Yorkers saying Flatiron Room, New York City.
Yeah.
All
right.
Great Irish bar. Sorry.
We got Craig.
New York City. I love Dead Rabbit.
Love Dead Rabbit.
Yeah, they got some good whiskey there.
Could you go with something a little more obvious, though, Craig?
Yeah, I know, right? I was trying to think. Well, I'm in LA right now, and I can't think of an LA bar.
Here?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh my God. Well, okay. First of all, I need to lament. Anybody here from LA? Anybody? I'm from Philly, but I live in LA. So one of the this is really sad. One of the great whiskey bars here is in Santa Monica called the Daily Pint, which is one of the best whiskey selections in the country. And apparently they're not coming back from COVID. I heard they
Oh.
closed and they're not coming back. But you've got 7 Grand in
Yes.
downtown LA that has a very, very excellent whiskey selection. I mean, there are definitely places here, not on the level of New York City. And you're right. The Dead Rabbit was named World Bar of the Year at Tales of the Cocktail years ago, which is like the Spirited Awards was like the Oscars of the booze business.
Mhm.
So yeah, has anybody else been to the Dead Rabbit? No,
Hey, Dan, have you been to Blind Rabbit in Orange County?
I don't go to Orange County. It scares me.
Oh, there you go.
They'll run my Prius off the road. No, I don't have a Prius, but if I did, they would run it off the road. I have not been there. I haven't been anywhere. I'm looking forward to being a lot of places. I guess that brings up an interesting point. Like, and thanks, Craig. What if we're coming out, right? There's light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is coming from a whiskey bar, right? We keep hearing that there's going to be this roaring 20s resurgence. I mean, is everybody out there thinking to themselves, I can't wait to get back out and go to bars and do this again? Or some people going, I kind of get used to my couch and I never want to leave. Kelly, let's go up here. Let's go here. I'll go Kelly. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Hey, who's you're Kelly? You're Kelly.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Bob.
And who's this? Wait, where'd you go? What is it?
Bob.
Kelly and Bob. Where are you guys coming to us from?
Connecticut.
All right, Connecticut. So Kelly is ready to rumble. You're ready to get out.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where's the first whiskey bar you go? Where you?
Well,
Dead Rabbit, I guess.
We just rode down to go to Dead Rabbit. We've been to
Oh, you
Flatiron.
did?
Yeah, we've been to Flatiron a few times, even brought our kids. They are
Awesome.
older. They are legal.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait. You have kids that are legal drinking age?
I'm 50. I'm 50. But
No.
I drink
I
a
get it.
lot.
Yeah, we drink enough.
I need to start drinking more then.
I
because
know.
You guys, yeah.
I'm preserving from the inside.
Gotcha. So you took your kids down to the Dead Rabbit.
No, Flatiron.
We have to go to the
Flatiron.
Dead Rabbit. That's where we're
Okay.
going next.
It's amazing.
And Flatiron Lounge is Julie Reiner, right? Julie Reiner's place. That's her
Or just Flatiron Room.
Flatiron Room.
Flatiron
room. Yeah, is
And you can buy flights, and you get a server, and they will walk you through each of the distilleries and their background and the families that own them. And
Yeah, it's great.
yeah, you get everything from like the very floral to the fireplace.
and isn't that such a? I mean, I get emotional sometimes when I think about how much I miss that element. Like when you're in a great bar and you've got a bartender who knows what she's talking about, and you just there's
Sure.
nothing like it's just great. And I think it's something that we all probably took for granted for say all of our lives. And
100%.
I would like to think that I was just saying this to a friend. Remember when they shut it down and they said it was going to be 2 weeks? Everybody was going to be 2 weeks. Does anybody else, I wanted to show him, does anybody else remember thinking, how the hell am I going to go 2 weeks stuck in my house? Like that was me, right? I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I think we all answered the question. Here we are 13 months later, and we're all still hanging in there. So you know what? That deserves a toast here.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Sláinte. Here we go.
I
Yes.
miss my yearly, end of my credit card recap. Be like, you spent 95% of everything on bars and restaurants. Well,
Right.
last year it was like you did nothing. So congratulations.
0.
But,
Yeah.
Joe, I see that you have raised your hand. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Where's
Unless
Joe?
I'm-
Oh, Joe. Oh, I'll do you. Joe,
All right.
you ready? You got to click on the mute. Click on your mute. There you, yeah.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Great, thank you. Hey, so all this talk, tons of craft distilleries are imitating Scotch and imitating stuff, but I haven't heard anybody imitating Irish out here in the States. Is anybody who's the craft distilleries that are imitating anybody?
Kings County Distillery in New York City just put out an Irish style whiskey. And what that means exactly, not entirely sure. Saw it on their Instagram. But they released it right before St. Patrick's Day. But they did come out with an Irish style. And That is the only one I know off the top of my head. It's fresh in there because it's only been about 2 weeks. But you're right. Like there's a lot of American single malts that are doing similar things to Scotch whiskey.
I've got here from Boulder Spirits a single malt that they treated like a bourbon and threw it in new American oaks, and it's not even on the same class as Scotch and Irish. It's different.
It's all
The malted
Frankenstein.
barley's everywhere these days.
Joe, what state are you coming to us from?
I'm in Colorado.
I'm joking.
Come on, look
man.
behind me.
Look at the background. Hey, are you proud of being from Colorado, Joe?
Right now, just like the breweries, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a couple distilleries these days.
And by the way, it's totally legal to swing dead cats in Colorado. I checked it. I looked before because if they're having sex outside your apartment window, you can do it. I'm just saying that's what happens. So Joe, are you in Denver?
No, I'm in Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. Okay. Yeah. I mean, great. One of the best whiskey bars that I know in Colorado. Now it's a little snooty, but it's over in Aspen. Jimmy's American Bar has an incredible whiskey program. I'm trying to think of some places in Denver. I got to figure there's
in Denver, Green Russell is just dominates. They've got stuff. They've got lists of 60 whiskeys long, and then they got to ask about stuff that's not on the list.
Okay.
So down here in the Springs, we have Cork and Cask. He's got about maybe 150 Scotch and about 100 bourbon, but his Irish is very limited. And I really got to fall on your side, Dan. Irish has come a long way, and it's just, I think it's nosing out. Everybody in Scotland's throwing their stuff into sherry casks and all this other stuff, trying to differentiate. Meanwhile, Irish is just coming up on the strong side, and they're going to beat them out because of all that triple distillation and things.
Well, and I do think there's something to be said again about the drinkability of Irish whiskey. I mean, you're right about people. Some of the pioneers of cask finishing come from Scotland. Dave Stewart, most notably from the Balvenie, was kind of the guy that pioneered that. Ireland's not doing a lot of that. What they're doing is they're making whiskey that fits a certain style within a range, obviously, and is accessible. And when you do that, I think, and then of course later they'll start playing around because look, a big reason why that happens, a big reason why it's not just because these blenders and distillers are geniuses. They're crafts people. They're amazing. But so much of it has to do with just about trying to move product, right? Whiskey brands build followings. I'm going to say this, well, we know Lee and Ron love everybody. We know this, right? Lee and Ron. But you get a whiskey that you love, right? Everybody's probably got a couple brands that they love. Every expression they come out with, you're going to get it, right? Kind of. Here's the new thing coming out. Yeah. I mean, I've got a million that I'm fans of, but like, for instance, I just got a new one from Barrel Bourbon, one of my favorite American whiskeys. They just came out with this Seagrass. It's just brand new. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And then they got another one coming out in 2 months. I'm so excited. So a lot of that, you'll be shocked to learn, is economically driven. The more they can go, let's put it in this cask and let's put it in this cask. And
one more thing, I'll let you move on to somebody else. I came up with on the traditional side, and I thought you didn't flavor your whiskey until it didn't taste very good. Then because you wanted to sell. Yeah. And so when you start finishing it and other things, now I enjoy the flavors. I am enjoying traveling around the world with all these flavors. But from the beginning, when you flavored it, was because it didn't taste very good. And so I'm a little bit skeptical. I like to try it pure, and then I'll flavor.
Sure. And by the way, quick shout out before Joe goes, if you guys ever go to Colorado, one of the best places up there, Stranahan's, of course, in Denver. I love Stranahan's whiskey. One of the early sort of craft whiskey distillers in the States that, came back up. So if you guys have not tried Stranahan's, try it, go there and visit. Joe, good talking to you. Who else? Amy, what do you want to go to next?
James Kelly. James Kelly has his hand up there.
Oh, not James Kelly again.
Again.
I'm sorry. No, I was thinking of another James Kelly. I know you. Where are you, James Kelly? All right, there you go.
So you were talking about, whether you want to go out or you want to stay in. I'm a stay in guy. The best thing that happened to me for COVID was they sent us home from work. We got to work from home. So, and I'm still working from home, which is great. Yeah.
So you're not going out, James, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm I'll invite a few friends over and we'll taste part of my collection and we'll.
Where do you live, James?
Kansas City area.
Kansas City. There's got to be some great whiskey bars in Kansas City.
There used to be. I don't know if they still exist.
They're all gone. COVID claimed them all.
Yeah, they were already on the way down a few years ago, and I think COVID just took them out. If they're still there, I don't know, because I just like I said, I just have my friends over and we'll experiment with the Scotches and the Irishes and the bourbons.
Well, do you ever do, and this is a question to everybody, but James, we'll start with you. Do you ever do full on tastings at your place where you bust everything out and you get like a legit whiskey tasting?
Yeah, we get, I've got 4 people that come over all the time, and we'll break out one of the flavor testing boxes and give them a shot and see how we like. That's how I got started doing that, was with them. Doing those tasting boxes, and I've had a lot of fun with them. So yeah, I collect those and then break them out every 2 or 3 months and have a good time with them.
What's
and
the coolest? Sorry.
Go ahead.
What's the coolest thing you've learned throughout that process about what it is you might like, or just from tasting during COVID?
Actually, in terms of tasting and stuff, I've been learning more about ryes and rums.
Nice.
And I'm starting to enjoy those a lot. I already knew quite a bit about Scotch because that's what I grew up on. I actually grew up drinking, literally at a very young age, cutty. We'd have cutty at my house.
Was that the James keeps crying? Put a little cutty on his gums.
Yeah, I think
remember those days. Now they'd be dragging you off to child service, yeah. But back in the day, we have a little whiskey.
My youngest son, when he was teething, we would dip his pacifier in Scotch and let him suck down on that.
By the way, Keith, will you do me a favor? Get James's info. When I get to Kansas City, I'm dragging his ass out. We're going to a whiskey bar. Here we go.
Yeah, no problem. We'll get that.
You bring the nipples. We'll dip them in the Scotch. And
That's right. There we go.
Yep.
Looks like Harry's Country Club is the number one whiskey bar in Kansas City.
Harry's Country Club?
Harry's Country Club. Highly rated.
I'll have to check it out. Check it out.
James,
but you were
buddy.
talking about how you move from, how do you break out from the Spays to the Elays and the or the Highlands, and how it happened for me is my dad used to run and then own a liquor store, and he had this collection of singles of the little, it was the classic 6 in the little 1 ounce, 2 ounce bottles.
No, I know you're talking about the classic malts, right?
Yeah, the classic malts.
The classic malts was a thing way back in the day, and it was like it was Lagavulin, it was
Glenfiddich.
Up on the Isle of Skye, man.
There was a Glenmorangie, I think.
Glenmorangie, yeah. You're bringing back Talisker was one of the ones.
Yeah.
Dalvini was one of those. That was back. Yeah, that was a long time. That was when the company, by the way, I'm probably, you guys are going, what? Who cares? There was a company called Shefflin and Somerset that owned that, and then they became Moet Hennessy. Sorry, the business end of the deal. James.
So that was my first experience in tasting. So I took all of those 6, and it was basically 2 from each region, and fell in love with Lagavulin. And I started straight out at the Feedies. And have loved them ever since. Lefroy and Lagavulin are my 2 favorites.
Well, hopefully you and I'll be tipping some back in Kansas City, man, at that bar Keith just said. So
that'd be good.
Good talking to you, James.
Yep.
Okay, can I pick someone, or is somebody already raising their hand?
We have both Steve and Preston both had a comment for you. Maybe go Steve and then Preston.
I'll go Steve. All right, Steve, what do you got?
Oh, got to unmute, Steve.
You got to unmute, Steve. Steve's like, what? Who is this? What's
Word next.
There we go. Hey, what's up, man?
Are you going to shock or I need to talk? Most probably I need to
Turn
talk.
that down. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Great, man. We're glad you're back.
Thank you. Where are you coming to us from tonight?
Pensacola, Florida.
What is it?
Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola, Florida. Welcome. How are you? Hi.
Yeah, we've been to Tealing, we've been to Highland Park, we've been all over that area.
Wait, you went to Highland Park?
I went manic at Highland Park. I bought everything they had.
You went up to the to the island up there. Orkney. In the Orkney Islands. So Highland Park is one of my favorite distilleries in the world. It kind of looks post-apocalyptic up there, right? You know, because
it's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's so windy that there can be like trees and stuff like they don't grow there. It's like they
were digging out front, you know, putting it in the furnace.
Amazing. Highland Park is one of my favorites, man. That's fit. And you've been to Tealing too.
Tealing was great. Yeah, we were there a few years ago, you know, and it's great to see them in Dublin there.
It's, by the way, again, everybody, when you get a chance, you go to Dublin. It's right in the heart of Dublin. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. They do a great job with tastings. And man, you guys are living your best lives there.
You bet. We love our single malts, and there's no doubt.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that, yeah.
Guys, yeah, for sure. Thanks, Steve. And who's with Steve?
Yeah.
Mia.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mia. Good to see you.
All right. Glad you're back, buddy.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Who else we got? Who we got, Keith?
We got Preston.
Preston? How are you, man?
Fine. I'm coming from Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah. But
welcome.
I like the peated Irish whiskey. Tealing's come out with a new one, and I love Connemara, but I don't like the whiskeys in Islay. And I've been to all the three of the distilleries there.
Whoa, hold on, wait, Preston. You like the peated Irish whiskeys? You don't like the peated Scotches? Amy, I can see her look at her. She's getting furious right now. I can see it. Look at her. Man.
I'm confused.
Oh boy. You got the wrong. Go ahead. You take over here, Amy. I don't have anything to do with this.
Yeah.
My job is kind of strange. I have to taste whiskey as part of my job. I represent hotels in the UK and Ireland. So I have to go to the hotels, and when I'm there, they have to give me, Preston, you got to try this. So I get to try the best whiskeys all the time. I mean, that's my job, besides looking at the hotels and selling hotel rooms.
Do you need an assistant?
You already have a job, Amy?
I know.
If you got to tell people about distilleries, you got to visit them.
Yep. So
I started with, I was visiting a hotel in Craigallachie, in the town of Craigallachie, the whiskey of the same name, which is across the road from Macallan. And I started with 18-year-old Macallan. That was my introduction to
okay,
malt.
You're not gonna crap on that though, right? On the 18 because
No,
that's one of my top 5 whiskeys in the world. The Macallan 18, I would say the Highland Park 18. Who were talking? I mean,
Glenrothes 18.
Oh,
Glenrothes 18 over Macallan 18 any day.
Did you go to the new Macallan distillery too?
Been there, yes.
Oh man, I'm jealous. I have not been to the new one, but it's
like, but no, to me it was like, that's not my idea of a distillery. That's like going to Coca-Cola.
That's like going to Disneyland or something.
Like going to an airport.
Coca-Cola. You know, in Atlanta, we've got the home of Coca-Cola, and you've got the same thing there.
Except the buzz, the Coca-Cola buzz is not nearly as good as the Macallan. I'm just going to say, I've had nights where I'm like, I'm going to drink a lot of Coca-Cola. And I just
agree with Preston. It's like when you go to a distillery, you want to see people working and moving on the distillery floor and touching it and not have it be automated in this like robotic process. There has to be some human component.
I like Tomatin 18. That is great.
All right. Get Preston's info too, because I need some deals on hotel rooms.
Yep.
Over there. Okay. I need some deals in Craigellachie when I get over there. And so we keep in touch with you, buddy.
Agreed. But it's so interesting to see how Scotch and Irish whiskey steal from each other in terms of finishes and flavors?
I'll
Keith
match
Irish-
Middleton. Irish whiskey Middleton
Yeah, of course.
with just about anything I've had, any Scotch I've ever had.
Well, so Preston has made it be known. Preston's on my team, the Irish whiskey team. Thank you, Preston.
All right, try another one is Bushmills 21,
Hmm.
21-year-old. And Bushmill Black.
The man knows his whiskeys. All right,
Irish
Bushmills. I'm going to get a list from you too, man. I need a list.
What do we compare notes?
I'm going to grab Preston. Good to talk to you, man.
Here.
I'm going to get anybody, Keith, we got anybody raising hand? I'm just going to randomly pick someone. Let's go with, because she looks a little shocked right now. Let's go with Melissa. Melissa's going, she's like a little bit, let me get on here. Let me go ask hi, Melissa.
Hello.
Where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming from Denver.
From Denver. All right.
Yeah.
Do you know that whiskey bar that Keith mentioned?
Yeah, I think Joe was Joe mentioning, I think Joe was from Colorado Springs, so we were messaging privately. But yeah, there's, I agree with you on Stranahan's. Amazing. An actual whiskey distiller. We have many distilleries, though, as he mentioned, popping up in this area. But focusing on Irish whiskeys, I was lucky enough to take a trip to Northern Ireland like 5 months before COVID shut everything down, and was able to go to Bushmills, did the whole coastal causeway, and someone was talking about the Giants Causeway. That's like an amazing area.
Yeah.
Super charming as well.
Did you try the McConnells when you were up in Belfast?
I did not. It was a pretty quick whirlwind of a trip, and didn't spend too much time in Belfast. I'm drinking Tyrconnell tonight, which I haven't heard anyone.
Just going to say, has anyone-
Okay, so the it's the Tyrconnell. So
Tyrconnell.
The Tyrconnell, the story of the Tyrconnell is I might screw this up, but I think I got it right. Is the Tyrconnell was a name of a horse. It was a long shot horse that ran a race in Ireland back in the 1800s, and it was the longest shot. It was like a 200-1 shot to win the Irish Stakes, and the Tyrconnell won the race. And that's what that whiskey. That's what that whiskey is. Is there a horse on the label?
There is. I was just going to say that explains the horse on the label. Yeah.
That's what it's named after. But the Tyrconnell is a really, really good whiskey. And
Port cask finish.
Yeah, fantastic.
They're all great. The 16-year-old, I think. I mean, that is probably.
Has anybody had this one?
Yeah,
the Slane. And the reason I bring up Slane is because when I was over there last year, I got to go to Slane. Has anybody been to Slane Castle?
No.
Oh, it's about 45 minutes outside of Dublin. Slane Castle is a very famous place. It's been around for hundreds of years, but in 1981, the family was in danger of losing the castle. So the old man, the guy owner, he says, well, he came up with a plan how to keep the castle. We're going to throw a concert because it's got a natural amphitheater there at the Slane Castle. So he said, let's have a concert, raise some money. We'll have people out. We'll sell booze. We'll do this. And so the very first concert, the headliner was Thin Lizzy, the Irish band Thin Lizzy. There were 2 or 3 opening acts. One of the opening acts was a young band from Dublin by the name of U2. And that was in 1981. 20 years later, U2 played in 2001, and they're the biggest band in the world at that point. But the bands that have played there, Queen, Metallica, Foo Fighters, every year they have one giant concert at Slane Castle, usually in July. Obviously didn't happen last year. I don't think it's going to happen this year either. But again, if you go to Ireland, now they're making this whiskey here. A guy named Alex Cunningham owns the castle, and he makes the whiskey. It's really good. It's an affordable whiskey too. I think it's only about $25 a bottle for this, but certainly a place that you want to put on your radar in terms of places to visit. I mean, it's so historic. It's so beautiful. And they're making the whiskey right there at the castle. Yeah.
I heard that whiskey tastes better if you drink it in a castle. Is that true?
Well, I think everything tastes better if you drink it in a castle. Amy, you look like you're in a castle right now.
I'm in my parents' house on Long Island. It's not a castle.
Kind of a castle, yeah. I was going to say that. Say
No.
that was a really impressive whiskey collection you got in the back
it's
there,
just
and then
like
Ron and Lee came
No, it's
along
really sad.
and made us
They're
all feel
like-
insignificant.
It's all like this much that's in the bottles. But yeah, no, I'm living at my parents' house until my apartment is being done renovated in Brooklyn. Great.
Okay.
But it's been fun because they've started drinking more since I've lived here, not just because I'm living with them, but because I'm like, educate, come on, Mom, I know you drink Jameson, but have you tried this one? And my parents have been to Ireland. I haven't. And my mom started drinking Jameson and cranberry because that's what they did in Ireland. Interesting, but I'm all for it. And, my mom, my dad, and I, we've been just tasting different whiskeys and actually tasting and comparing. And they finally understand what I do for work. So, no, it's been really cool. And that's definitely why this bottle is almost gone, because they've traded up from the regular Jameson now to the Black Barrel. But yeah, they are up away while we're down here talking
While you're
about
doing that.
Irish whiskey.
Well, as you can see, I'm coming to you from my rustic abode here in Venice.
Yep.
Bar in the back. It's real. It's real.
Doubles as a bar and a rick house.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Want to jump in?
Yeah.
Randy? We're going to get Randy over here?
Yeah. Hey,
Hey, Randy,
Dan.
how are you?
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
You sound
Thanks.
you're very sonorous, your voice.
Well, thank you.
Hello, Randy. How are you?
That is my voice. And fellow Philly boy right here, Dan.
No, where are you from in Philly?
From the Front and Cheltenham area.
What the hell? My
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
I went to
I went
college
to
in Philly.
Father
Yeah.
Judge High School right here.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Central
We're-
High. Central High.
Oh, fancy. Yeah, very.
Yeah,
good.
really.
Say, that's where the smart people go.
Yeah.
And I went to college in Philly as well, Temple University.
Nice.
Drexel.
Very nice.
Drexel,
It's great. Yeah. I went out of state, but
All
it was
right.
all good. It was all good.
So, Randy, what do you got for us, man?
Well, we a little funny story. We were renovating our house, and one of the things was we love cocktails, we love whiskeys and other spirits, and we love to entertain, and so we built a bar in our main. Took down some walls. We built a nice bar, with a lot of storage, a lot of shelves. And then COVID hit just before the renovation was complete. And so we are just on the edge of our seat waiting to have people over. But in the meantime, we've been taking full advantage of Flaviar and other opportunities to build up our stock and taste and create cocktails. It's been fun.
Amazing.
That's
But
awesome here, because even if we're gonna head into the roaring 20s, it's like, sure, we might all go out, but I'm also looking forward to entertaining at home. I have a lot of, well, these are almost empty, but I will get
Yeah.
more booze for my friends, even get dressed and not wear sweatpants, but I'll get all fancy to have my friends over and be like, let's have some cocktails. Like before I was getting ready to do this, my husband literally said, he's like, why did you put your face on? And I was like, because I'm going to be on Zoom. Hello. I was like, you're adorably observant. And, I miss just having that connection. Even virtual is great, but like we're so close to having, being able to see our friends and family without, I don't know, a ton of paranoia, but with that, kind of show off what we've been able to learn in the past year. Some people have learned to make sourdough. I've
Right.
learned a lot more about Irish whiskey in general, and also just spirits as I continue to go down that road. So
Yeah.
who knows what the future has in store.
We are looking forward to it, and I'm actually on the road with my son. We're visiting colleges, so I'm in West Virginia right at this minute, but we live in North Carolina, and we knew this was coming up, so I brought some some Irish whiskey with me.
Nice.
Ultimate road soda right there.
Yeah, they were the right size to travel with. We have different bottles, but these fit.
You're like, son, we're gonna go pick a college, but Dad's bringing some whiskey. Yeah,
yeah.
That's such a cool, Dad.
That's fantastic, Randy. Well, good luck with the college search, and go Eagles.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Thank goodness we got one.
Let me see. I just want to quickly, let me take a look here. Giorgio. I'm gonna unmute Giorgio. Here, hold on a second. Giorgio.
Great day, great day.
Hey man, how are you? Where are you coming to us from?
Yeah.
The Port of Long Beach.
The Port of Long Beach. Are you a longshoreman?
I am not. I am a container driver. I'm in one of these right here. We're all waiting for the load to put the container to come up the ship.
Oh my
Amazing.
God.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Is it a load of Irish whiskey, I hope?
I call it dibs on that one.
Giorgio, what's your spirit? Scotch or Irish whiskey? Scotch. All right. We got Giorgio Scotch. Any style of Scotch? You like the Isla malts? You like the Space Sides?
Highlands.
I'm getting more. I'm getting my palate more experience with it. So I would say the first one that you mentioned, I'll lean towards that one more.
Okay, fantastic. All right, man. Good to see you. Hey, and good luck with the no whiskey while you're driving. By the way,
Is there always a problem?
What's that?
Is there always a problem?
No.
Is there a problem, officer? Is there always a problem?
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, if you see his truck, get in the other lane. No, get it. Giorgio, good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, thanks for spending time.
Who else we haven't got here? I want to see everything. Dr. Jeff, can we? Let me get over here. Dr. Jeff, how are you? You got to hit on mute. There we go.
How's that?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. That's good.
Perfect.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
We're good, man. We're drinking. We got a little whiskey going on here. We're having a good time. And yeah. What about you? What do you got? What do you got in the glass tonight?
Well, I'm drinking Green Spot, which is something I just discovered.
Green Spot is a great Irish whiskey. Yeah.
I just really like it. Really like it. We've become real good friends.
You and the Green Spot, huh?
Yes. I'm moving more from the Scotches to the Irish whiskeys. I think they're milder, and I think they both have their place. But yeah, I'm enjoying this.
That's awesome. Fantastic. I'm going to raise one here. I'm going to do this.
Yes.
I'm going Scotch. I'm going to show you that I love Scotch, and Amy knows this. And the Bunnahabhain is from Islay.
Yes.
My dog. That's my dog's name. I was just drinking this over the weekend with a good friend of mine, and we enjoyed the Bunnahabhain. And I'm going to go right back to it again. Here we go.
And I have
Bunny for short.
I have a bottle right behind me.
A Bunnahabhain?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
yes, I do.
So Dr. Jeff, where is it? Dr. Jeff or Dr. Jeffrey? I don't want to.
Just call me Jeff. That's fine.
Jeff, where are you coming to us from?
We're in Portland, Oregon.
Oh man.
Hey.
Okay, so
moved here from Ohio.
Clyde
7
Common.
years ago.
You been to Clyde Common?
No, I haven't.
Ooh, one of the best bars in Portland.
Oh, really? Really?
Multnomah,
Let me write it down.
Right.
Jeffrey Morgenthaler. Oh yeah, they're so. Oh, what's the big whiskey bar up there too?
No, I don't remember.
It's one of the best whiskey bars in the country too.
Good.
Yeah, it's a giant place. Well,
very pretty.
There's one that opened last year or 2 years ago, and I believe it's called the Whiskey Bar. My wife and I went there. Well, we went there. Or no, I'm sorry, it's called the Scotch Bar, and we went there about a year ago, just before COVID hit. They had great entrees, a lot of little appetizers, and just a huge selection of scotches and other alcohols as well. We really enjoyed that.
Fantastic.
How about the Old Gold?
No, haven't been there.
Oh yes.
I'm writing these things down.
Morgan, thank you, Morgan. Multnomah. I'm probably saying it wrong. Also, my vision is bad. Whiskey Library in Portland.
My favorite bar in Portland is Mary's.
Mary's, okay.
Ha.
Does anybody know Mary's?
I know Mary's.
Oh, look it up.
Yeah.
Google it first. Dr. Jeff, please Google that before you go. Mary's.
Okay,
But yeah,
will do.
Mary's is
okay.
it's an old establishment
Mhm.
in the heart of Portland, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, well, hey.
Well, let me say one more thing.
Yes, let me hear you, man.
My wife and I and another couple two friends and I went to St. Andrews for 2 weeks to play golf. This was just a year and a half ago. We stayed right in St. Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
We found a liquor store that had a huge selection. And what was most fun is that they had some brands that they would privately label. So they would buy the casks, mix the scotches together, and came up with some great bottles. And that was so much fun to try things there that we could not get here. And I think that's what led me into the Scotch Club, which takes me back so I can get access to some of these bottles that I've never heard of before, which has been loads of fun.
Dan, can I ask you a question about that, about bonding? Because bonding seems to be coming back. I know it was in that box that Amy had earlier. JJ Corey's a good bonder. Hyde, they're doing bonding. Is that something that is that also part of the rebirth of Irish whiskey? The technique of bonding and just being a finisher, finding your juice and then coming and finishing.
And that's a big, so this one right here, for instance, Egan's, that's an Irish whiskey where they're sourcing all their stuff and they're just, they're bottling, finishing. That was a big part of Irish whiskey. And that's a big part of the brands that are coming back right now. Yeah, absolutely. Egan's does not have their own distillery, but one of the best new whiskey brands out there. So there we go.
Sourcing is absolutely fine. It's great. It's a way to get, expressions and flavors quickly and to get, there's a lot of talent out there and it takes so much time to kind of make these whiskeys, but, independent bottlers are sourcing juice. It's, I feel like even that you're getting more people involved in the process of a brand, which is kind of cool to think about. All the elements coming together for people to bottle something so we can enjoy it, whenever the moment strikes.
Before we go, I see Jade, you're sitting in a glass. Let me, what's going on there? Hold on. Go ahead. Unmute.
Yeah. So the glass is a picture from one of my favorite whiskey bars in San Diego called the Whiskey House. I don't know if you can.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
There we go. They had this huge, comfortable leather couch, and behind it there is a sign in lights that says whiskey. And I went to take a drink of my whiskey and I saw the word in my glass, and I obviously had to take a picture and post it to Instagram. So then I decided that this is like the best place to use that as a background on my Zoom. Maybe not for my work calls, but here it's perfect.
So how is San Diego as a whiskey town?
Oh, it's great. There are a few different places. So the Whiskey House is it's one of those that is in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's very fancy. They do such a great job there. This is just so knowledgeable about everything. They have amazing flights. But about a mile away, there's something called the Aero Club, which is the shittiest bar that you can walk into. And there's no food there. There's a popcorn machine and, your own risk. But they have a phenomenal whiskey selection. It's they have this book that is, I don't know, it just many sticky pages long.
Like a big, thick, aren't those places the best? Like they don't look like much, but you're like here, and they slap this dictionary down in front of you and go, what do you want? We got it all. That's amazing. Now, Jade, are you a Scotch or Irish whiskey fan?
I'm a Scotch person. I don't know. I jumped from bourbon to Scotch. I never went through an Irish whiskey phase. I have maybe 30 bottles in my bar and not one is Irish whiskey, not by design. It's just, you go toward your favorite.
Okay.
And I have really in the last 2 years started leaning toward the peatier Scotches. So Lagavulin, Highland Park, Bunnahabhain.
Okay. Well, listen, if you ever want to try some whiskeys, go to see Lee and Ron in Montana. They actually have all the whiskey that's ever been made.
Probably more than the Aero Club.
Yeah, they have all more than any like I've never seen a bar. If they're saying that's just their Scotch and Irish whiskey, so go there, do that. Jade, good talking to you. Everybody, unless anybody has any pressing things they need to say, Amy, I just want to tell you, it's so good to do this with you. It's been a couple of months since we last got on and got to do this. It's good to see you.
Love drinking with strangers and with you, Dan.
And isn't it fun? And you know, you're stuck in your parents' house, and I know you're going crazy right now. You're kind of going crazy, a little bit crazy, right? I could see she was like being nice. She's like, and my parents and I are drinking this, and all I kept hearing, what I'm hearing you say, is I can't wait to get out and go to a bar in Brooklyn.
Oh my God, I miss Brooklyn so much. But yes, exactly. No, it's great to be with you. Great to chat. This is what it's about. It's just chill, and we're sharing our opinions, and no one's being a jerk, and we're all gonna learn something from it.
It's so great. And guys, you know, this is the normal. I don't even say the new normal because it's been normal for a while.
Yeah.
And I know we're all looking forward to this not being the normal where we get to go out and do it again in person. But I got to tell you personally right now, and how it's really been throughout quarantine, is I love doing this. I love being here and getting to see all your faces, and Hal and Lisa and Preston and Andrew and Melissa and everybody and Chris. It's nice to see people where I know we're not in the same place, but I feel like in some ways we are in the same place. We're all, you know, having a drink together. We're all sort of vibing together over the same topic. So I want to say, honestly, thank you all for being here and spending this time with me and with Amy and Keith, the disembodied voice of Keith. Keith, where are you? Keith.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. This is Keith.
Yeah, so
Thanks
you're
for
like the
being
voice
part
of
of
God
our
there.
community.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for being part of it in Flaviar, and we're going to be doing another one, I think, in 2 weeks. And I would love to see you all back here again in 2 weeks. And not sure what the subject's going to be, but it'll be something equally riveting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Okay.
What? Yeah.
Hey, when first time in Dublin, I didn't really know whiskeys at all. I watched a couple things on Tealing and Jameson, and we went into a steakhouse, and I asked the guy, "Hey, I'm here. I'd like to learn about Irish whiskey," and he just started pulling bottles off, and he pulled a bottle of Tealing that I wish I could remember what it was. He goes, "This is what I have at home," and it was just the greatest thing, and it just got me going.
The best way to learn is through an immersive experience like that.
This guy just lit up. I mean, it was the greatest time ever.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, Hal, Lisa, you still haven't showed ID. I don't even know if you're legit allowed to be here right now. No, I'm kidding.
Show you her bar. I'm at her house.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, that's in the background.
Daughter.
That's a good looking bar. It's no Lee and Ron's bar. I'm just saying, but you know, hey.
A lot of bourbon.
Lisa and Ron's bar. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. It was really great. And little cheers for everybody here. And you know, let me pour a little bit. Hold on. Give me. Anybody have any more they want to empty out into their glass and have a toast with me before we go? I'm going a little Bunabin. Because I say we can bridge the divides. I was Team Irish, but now I'm doing a little Scotch. So cheers to you guys. Amy.
Dan.
Oh, it's great to see you. Keith, great to see you. Everyone. Cheers. And I hope to see you again here soon.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.